There is a significant difference between the expression elderly and simply being old. When I think of an elderly person, a degree of frailty or weakness is implied. My twin sister and I are both about to turn 73. While I consider myself middle aged, ha ha ha, my twin is, or should I say was, clearly in all respects elderly. Why? She has had a series of illnesses and operations, leading to her present weak and frail condition. But in addition to that, she's been severely dehydrated, and this started in her long hospital stay, but it's continued to repeat itself, lots of dehydration, over and over again for years, to a point where she really forgot, her body forgot how to drink enough. And this happens to a lot of people. This happened to my parents when they were getting older and before they died. And it presents itself as maybe a form of dementia or Alzheimer's or something like that, when it really is dehydration. So there's something that loved ones can do about it when they see one of their elderly loved ones, like parents or even siblings or spouses, become less capable, weaker, and various things that are caused by dehydration. It's a very serious thing, so watch out for that. And my sister lives with her husband, and he works all day and is not able to really track what she drinks. Aside from that, if you're not really aware of the problems with dehydration, you just don't know that that's what the problem is. And so I was asked to come and spend a few weeks with my sister, and when I did, what I found was uh, she it was very difficult to carry on a conversation or even to get her to drink water. I could tell she was dehydrated. She had all the symptoms, and but when I asked her, I would give her a glass of water. I'd ask her to drink. Uh, she would say, "Oh, well, she wants to have it sweetened with this or that," and I did get it to her sweetened just the way she wanted. And still, she would only drink a sip here and a sip there. So it was not going to work that way. I mean, she would literally have the glass in her hand, and I would ask her to take a sip. She would be going toward taking a sip, and then somehow forget that action and do something else and end up putting the glass down. And then if I kept up with my insistence that she take a sip, it might lead to an argument or a little friction between us. It just was not the right way to go about it. And that's when I figured out, invented, developed, whatever you call it, my very simple rehydration formula. And it is a simple formula, but before I tell you what the formula is, and it worked. By the way, you just really have to listen to this. But before I tell you that, I want to emphasize the seriousness of dehydration. It actually is a leading cause of death in elderly people. And I have a series of various symptoms that you can explore on the internet yourself and see. This is all very common knowledge uh, of dehydration. So cognitive impairment, if you're forgetful or, foggy, a short attention span, those are all very, very clear symptoms of often all it is dehydration. But I shouldn't say all it is, because it's severe dehydration, and it's not just a simple fix. Um, let's say the person has a short reaction time, weakness, frailty, increased risk of falling, fear of walking because of the increased weakness and risk of falling. So this all leads to more weakness, difficulty standing, sitting, and even difficulty doing everyday tasks. Um, Another just awful consequence of this is just can't make it to the bathroom on time. And every action taking so long to do versus just doing it quickly like one used to do. Um, and another symptom of dehydration or thing that happens because of dehydration is whatever medical illness or condition existed before, it's now getting worse. For instance, my sister had diabetes for since she was 40, and she had a transplant of her pancreas, which quote unquote cured the diabetes because she was taking immunosuppressant drugs and whatever, but still, the necessity to take insulin was gone. And then all of a sudden, the the pancreas that was doing okay started failing, and now she has a return of the type 1 diabetes. And then, along with dehydration, it is an insidious thing that happens, which is a diminished sense of thirst. So now, how are you going to cure your dehydration? You're not even thirsty. You forget that you're thirsty. So it's a vicious cycle downward. And like I said earlier, it is one of the leading causes of death in elderly people. And it's a leading cause of all kinds of diseases and this type of thing. So, one other thing, crabbiness. So, and just think of yourself when you're thirsty. I mean, you might have a very light levels of these things happen to you, but this is severe dehydration caused by one now is forgetting or just unable to even sense that one is thirsty, and so it's just a never-ending cycle. There is a way to fix it, and I did discover this, and it's just a wonderful, wonderful thing, and that is I'm calling my rehydration therapy. And after only a few days of really religiously doing this, she was bright enough and intelligent enough and strong enough, starting to regain strength. It's a process, but getting there to take on doing this therapy herself, with me just looking on and with a gentle reminder here and there. So it's not forevermore a person needing a therapist or a caregiver or a loved one sitting there doing this for them. But here it is. I'm going to tell you what the rehydration formula is. And the first step, it's just 2 steps. The first step is to use ionized water. And the reason I say that is ionized water is very, very hydrating to the body. It's water that is not in its large cluster form with lots of toxins, etc., that one usually would get out of the tap or even filtered water. And so it's very, very clean, very, very hydrating. And I have links to, there's a lot of benefits and a lot of research about ionized water. I have links to those on my blog post. I also have links to a blog post I wrote about this rehydration therapy. And I also have links to a recent article I wrote based on why I call ionized water heavenly water. And there's just a reason for that, and it's a very interesting blog post. And it is heavenly water. So you should read these blog posts to see more information regarding that. So use that. I use ionized water. And if you cannot afford to buy a water ionizer, I understand that. You buy a pitcher, and that will be lightly ionized, and at least minimally, that would present itself as better than what you could get out of your tap or regular filter. The second step is, and by the way, I mean, not to ramble, but just use regular filtered water if for lack of anything else. Just avoid water that's void of all minerals, such as reverse osmosis or distilled water, that kind of thing. It, it's not as good as ionized, I can assure you, but it's better than just plain tap water or bottled water. Okay, the second step, using a shot glass approach. A 2-ounce shot glass will be fine, and that's what I used. It wasn't really a shot glass, but it was a 2-ounce glass. And it's about 1.5 ounces of the water every 20 minutes. And what I did was, when I would go and hand her an 8-ounce glass or a 12-ounce glass of water, flavored water, just the way she loves it or whatever, she'd just sip every so often. So I still gave that to her. But in addition, I would every 20 minutes go up to her with this 1.5 ounces of ionized water and just say, "Oh, drink this." And she would look at me, she'd take the glass, drink it, and smile. It was no waiting. It was a very, very fast thing. It's just a little water. You can drink it right down, right then. And then 20 minutes later, I went up to her again with this 1.5 ounces of water. And every 20 minutes, except, of course, not when she was sleeping or in the process of eating, but otherwise, every 20 minutes, I went up to her with this 1.5 ounces of water. And so eventually, that extra glass of water that would have the sweetened water, she started liking the ionized water better. So she said, "Hey, Liz, just make this plain water and not have the sweetener in it." I thought that was very interesting. And also another interesting thing that happened is that she said after a few days of this, she started wanting to put the timer on her own cell phone and, reset it herself. And a day or two late, even after that, she wanted to go and get her water herself. And it was just all part of the needed actions and exercise she needed anyway. So it was just a natural progression from being what you would maybe consider frail, weak, elderly, to being more the way a middle-aged person would be. So it's just been a wonderful progression. It's still a work in progress because she had lost a lot of muscle tone and she really was very dehydrated. So there's a lot of systems and cells that have to get renovated or rejuvenated. So, but this formula really works. If you have someone that you love, they're getting old, and you think maybe, they're starting to get forgetful or weak or any of these things, check it out. I bet they're getting dehydrated. Another thing that I noticed was anytime my sister was in the hospital, which was many times, especially, just many times, especially for longer stays, like longer than just a day or two, and they take the patient off the IV, and then they give them water, and then what happens is they leave it next to their bed or whatever, and then if they don't drink it, well, there is no one being this rehydration therapy type person, making sure they drink the water, and they're forgetting. So it's so prevalent in hospitals. So just watch out for this and help your loved one, because this is This is something that can be prevented and even fixed after the fact.